The next thing that comes into my mind is what you see when you look into your crystal ball.
Well, the possibility of a catastrophe, I'm looking into my crystal ball, you can never remove it. It's there. While you've got nuclear weapons, there's a possibility of catastrophe. Any old catastrophe can happen. Aeroplanes could crash into this house tomorrow, but the idea of a real disaster with nuclear weapons is always there. The Japanese never expected a tsunami to overwhelm one of their nuclear power stations and create a catastrophe. It's what happened and what could happen with nuclear weapons. But I don't think that's necessary, and I think we're seeing positive things in other directions. I mean, I think we're beginning to see, partly through electronic media, a much more international view of things. People are much more aware of what's happening in other countries and interested in them. I think that other threats and are beginning to tie together with nuclear weapons. And global warming is going to mean conflict between countries, refugees moving, shortage of food, reliance on military protection or on social justice in living together. And I think this kind of global spirit, I think is very positive, and it's going to mean that nuclear weapons just look redundant, especially if terrorism is going to be the drum that's going to be banged by the militaries. Well, nuclear weapons have absolutely no function with terrorism. They're out of date. It's like reinventing the camel corps or something, because nothing you could do with a terrorist and a nuclear weapon. So I think we can move forward, and that's my crystal ball. I won't be here to see it, but I hope it'll happen.
What is culture of peace composed of?
Culture of peace composed of a respect for law, international law, respect for everybody, whatever their colour or religion is, that we live together, a sense of trusteeship for the planet on which we live, that we're not here as freeholders, we're here as temporary leaseholders at the most, a knowledge of social change and how it's developed and how it could move forward, and some of the basic structures, a different set of heroes and heroines, people in the past who've done incredible things, in education, knowledge of the international structures, how they got there, how they can be used, languages, that everybody is fluent in at least one other language. These are some of the culture, the structures. Respect for other people's songs and music. I mean, the little church I go to has got 70 different nationalities. And we get 500 people on a Sunday, but one Sunday got 70 different nationalities. And we managed to live together a bit. So I think that's a culture of peace. Any real religion is of the unity of human beings, and the sharing between each other of what we've got. I don't know, you've asked me a tricky question at the end, but that's how I would move it. We're not here because we're British, or here because we're white, or here because we're middle class. We're here because we're human beings, and by some incredible accident we land up on Venetia Road, N4. I could be in the Kalahari Desert or somewhere, but I'm not. I'm here. So you work with what you can. Understanding other people, learning about other people, learning history of things. That's all terribly important to me. The bravery. We've just had this little program in Tavistock Square about the conscientious objectors of the First World War. And to read the sufferings of those men, incredible, and to see how they were treated, and to see how the messages that should have been listened to in 1914 were ignored. My own Pope Benedict, no one's ever heard of him. Benedict, absolutely against that war. He said, negotiate, for God's sake, negotiate. You've got to negotiate sometime. You have to negotiate now, not later. And he was right, but they all ignored him. Amazingly, in my church, the head of our church, Cardinal Bourne, he said rubbish to the Pope. Now, he wouldn't say rubbish about anything else, but he said rubbish about that to the Pope. Then you had the Tsar Nicholas saying in 1898, if we go on like this, we're going to have the war that no one can win. That's what he said, a big thing around the world. And the governments all did two fingers to him. The people were interested in this country, but the governments weren't. So culture of peace, learning to be a global citizen, that's all. And what's it mean to be a citizen? Well, make it global. So that's my dream. I don't think that we're going to eliminate the capacity for doing wrong things. That's part of human nature, I suppose. But we can reduce its dangerous effects. I don't think we're all going to become St. Francis of Assisi overnight. It's a big job. But I think we can start live together as we do on our little street here. I keep using this analogy. I don't like everybody on our street, and some of them are quite nasty, and some of them won't talk to me. But however much I disagree with them, I know that if there's a burglar here, I'll get support from other people on the street. We've got neighbourhood watch. I've got a telephone line. I can call the police. Nobody's starving. If there were, I'd take them some food, but nobody's starving. We've got something like social justice. And if anybody was being attacked by somebody, then we have a police force and a system of law. And I think that little local street model is the one we've got to think about all the time in the world in large. It's possible. We do it with Scotland. There's a great argument at the moment about Scottish independence or not independence. But the one thing I'm quite certain is we're never going to fight the Battle of Bannockburn again. It's over, you know. And yet, once upon a time, these two areas fought each other furiously up and down the different sides of their countries. I've tried to get people interested in the United Nations, a visionary organization, the first line of the Charter, to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war. First line, uplifting. You try even to get a copy of the Charter, even to find a physical copy of the Charter, you wouldn't know where to go. They're not stocked here by the United Nations Association. If you go to Brussels, and if you're lucky, you'll get a few out of Brussels. I think they should be in every school. Every secondary school should have a Charter and the Declaration of Human Rights. Why not? It's possible. But I'm a voice in the wilderness, or not quite in the wilderness. That wonderful statue or plinth or whatever of Oscar Wilde down at Charing Cross Station, do you know it? And it's on it, it's got it, we are all born in the mud or something, but some of us are looking at the stars. It's fantastic. All born in the mud, well, some of us looking at the stars. And more people should be looking at the stars.